Hello again, my dears, and welcome to the second part of the Odyssey Book 9, Episode 3 Close Commentary. Yes, it's a long one. Without further ado, we'll go back to Episode 3, The Cyclops, where we've just left him eyeless and very unhappy. He raised a great shout so that the other Cyclopes living on that windy shore came and gathered outside. Remember, he didn't really get involved with his neighbours, so they're not really sure what to make of him. They asked him what the matter was. "Oh, my friends, it is nobody's treachery, no violence, that is doing me in." Well done, Odysseus. "Well, if you're alone and nobody is hurting you, then you must be sick. An illness comes from Zeus as a punishment and can't be helped. Go and pray to your father, Lord Poseidon." Basically, they're telling him he might have mental illness and he needs to pray to the gods. "I laughed to myself," said Odysseus, "at how my clever idea, metis, idea, no one, yes, it's a pun, very clever, of a false name had tricked them." I'm sure the whole Phaeacian crowd are probably laughing and slapping their thighs now too. Moaning in agony, the Cyclops moved the doorstone and then sat blindly in the doorway, hoping to catch us. He must have thought me a fool. So basically, he's actually moved the stone but is sitting in the doorway. This is the only way out. If they run for the door, he'll know, he'll feel them, he'll catch them. I was racking my brains to think of a way to save my friends as well as myself. I'm not just going to run blindly into his arms. I thought of plan after plan, scheme after scheme, repetition to emphasize this. It was a matter of life or death. This was the plan that, in the end, seemed best. The rams, remember, all the flock had been brought in the night before. Oh, we see now, another hidden plot point. Well done, Homer. The rams were of good stock, thick-fleeced, big animals. I lashed 3 at a time together, using plaited willow twigs from the monster's bed. The monster's own bed, that's just mean. The middle one was for one of my followers, with its fellows on either side to protect him. For myself, I chose a full-grown ram, the pick of the flock. I curled up under his belly, lay there upside down. In this way, with sighs and groans, we waited for the blessed day. He's got to have arms of steel to do this all night. As soon as dawn came, the he-goats and rams began to try and get out to the pasture. The females, unmilked, bleated by the pens. Normal life has resumed. Their master, in terrible pain, passed his hands along their backs. The man in the middle is hiding underneath like Odysseus is. Odysseus continues in a rather judgmental tone that, frankly, I do not care for. The idiot didn't notice. The last to leave was the big ram, with me underneath, thoughts racing. There's a rather sweet moment between Cyclops and Ram here. Sweet Ram, "Aw, why are you the last of the flock to pass out of the cave? You never normally lag behind the others." Is he going to get caught out? No. "You must be grieving for your poor master's eye. I was blinded by a wicked man and his friends when he had fuddled my wits with wine. His name was Nobody, and I swear that he is not safe yet. Oh, Ram, if only you had a voice to tell me where he is so my heart would find relief by spattering his brains all over the floor." There's clearly a fabulous bit of dramatic irony here because we know exactly what the ram would say, was it able to speak. But also, look at the double standards in Polyphemus' speech. For someone who tricks others and eats men's flesh, he really does see himself as the victim. Oh, the irony. Yeah, get it? So finally, they have escaped to safety, at least almost anyway. "So," says Odysseus to the on the edge of their seat Phaeacians, "he let the ram pass. After putting some distance between ourselves and the cave, I let go of my ram and untied my men." You can see why he didn't actually need to be tied to his so that he could then get away. "With many a backward look, we drove our flock to the shore." Not content with just blinding the Cyclops, they're now actually going to steal all the sheep and rams that helped them get out of the cave. "My dear companions," the ones they left behind, "were overjoyed to see us, but broke into loud lamentations for our lost friends. With nods and frowns, i.e. without speaking, I indicated to them to stop their weeping, get the flock on board and get out to sea. So they went on board, bent to their oars and struck the waves. Some fabulous leadership there without even speaking. So this is then where you've got to ask a question. Why? Really, why? Because after being so careful and so quiet in order to escape the Cyclops, Odysseus now does this. Oi, Cyclops! So the man whose friends you wished to overpower and eat in your cave wasn't such a weakling after all. Your crimes were bound to catch you up, you brute, and Zeus and the gods have paid you back. My words so enraged the Cyclops that he tore the top from a great pinnacle of rock and hurled it at us. The rock fell just ahead of our blue-painted bows, and the water surged up, and the backwash swept us landward and nearly drove us onto the beach. Seizing a long pole, I pushed the ship off. At the same time, I was commanding my crew with urgent nods to bend their oars and save us. See what a great leader he is, having almost gotten them killed. When we were twice the distance away that we had been, I was about to call out to the Cyclops again, but my men stopped me. Wonder why. Why do you want to provoke that savage? He nearly just drove us back to the land with the rock he threw. If he'd heard a word from any man, he'd have smashed in our heads and the ships with another huge rock. We're in easy range of him. Yeah, kudos. He wants kudos, guys. He wants kudos. But my temper was up and they did not dissuade me. Enraged, I shouted once more, Cyclops! If anyone ever asks who it was who put out your eye, tell them it was Odysseus, sacker of cities, son of Laertes, who lives in Ithaca. Name and address. Basically, he wants this reputation. Calling himself nobody is going to get nobody the credit. The Cyclops groaned. Alas, the ancient prophecies have come back to haunt me. We once had a prophet living with us, Telemus, son of Eurymus, the best of soothsayers. He told me that a man called Odysseus would rob me of my sight. But I always expected a big, handsome man of tremendous strength to arrive, not some puny good-for-nothing who tricks me with wine. Ooh. Almost getting the last laugh there, kind of a decent burn. But actually we realised it was pretty intelligent for Odysseus not to say his real name, seeing as there was actually some kind of prophecy warning the Cyclopes against him. Now the Cyclops, Polyphemus, kind of like before when he tried to get Odysseus to tell him his name in the first place, tries the same tactic, pretending to be nice. But come here, Odysseus, so that I can give you some friendly gifts, like Proposenia, and prevail on the great earthshaker Poseidon to see you safely home. He is proud to be my father, and he will heal me if anyone can and he wishes. Odysseus' response is super cold. The only wish I could make is this, to rob you of your life and send you to Hades, as surely as Poseidon will never heal your eye. Those of you who've read Book 1 will know that Poseidon hates him. Now, Book 1 takes place after this event. So this, in fact, is why Poseidon hates him. We are about to find that out. And all of the mentions of Poseidon in this book so far should have been red flags, warning signs to us, thereby creating additional dramatic irony. The Cyclops curses Odysseus, a major plot point, and this is what causes all the events then apparently of chapters 10, 11 and 12. Hear me, Poseidon, sustainer of the earth, god of the sable locks. He has nice hair. If you claim me as your son, grant that Odysseus, sacker of cities, son of Laertes, may never reach his home in Ithaca. But if he is destined to reach it, may he come late, in a wretched plight, having lost his comrades, and in a foreign ship, to trouble at home. So the Cyclops prayed, and the god of the sable locks heard his prayer. Now Odysseus is cursed. Poseidon could have chosen not to hear it, but he does. Probably shouldn't have said that Poseidon wasn't going to be able to sort his eye out. Once again, the Cyclops picks up a boulder, the biggest so far, and hurled it so far and so hard that it fell just astern of our ships, narrowly missing our rudder. But the wave it caused pushed us to the other shore. That is lucky this time. The drama, the suspense. And so we reached our island, where the rest of our ships were all waiting for us. This is Goat Island. Remember, Goat Island. Their crews sitting disconsolate on the shore to wait for us. We beached our ship, jumped out, and unloaded the Cyclops' flock from the hold. We then divided our spoil so that no one went without their fair share, as far as I could help it. Again, what fabulous leadership. And this is also a very important thing to remember for Book 10. He does share stuff out, and he's got a reputation for doing so. But my comrades in arms did me the special honour of presenting me with the big ram in addition to the sheep and goats when they were distributed. Hurrah! Kudos after all, even it's just between friends. I sacrificed the ram on the beach, burning the thighs as an offering to Zeus, who is Lord of all. But he took no notice of my sacrifice. Compare that to the way that Poseidon has immediately granted the prayer of the Cyclops. Zeus's mind must already have been on the plans for the destruction of my men, foreshadowing for the next couple of chapters. So, the whole day long, we sat and feasted on rich meat and mellow wine. Yes, you've heard that phrase before. When the sun set, we lay down to sleep. As soon as dawn appeared, yes, you've heard that phrase before, I roused my men and got them on board. They took their places at the oars and struck the surf with their blades. Thus, we left the island and sailed with heavy hearts, grieving for our lost friends, but glad at our own escape. All of those formulaic phrases and a simple ending properly end all 3 episodes and Book 9 all together. Polyphemus the Cyclops is quite an interesting character. As we said before, he does show some aspects of civilization. He's a shepherd, he's careful, he has well-made vessels, he's methodical, and he really cares for his animals, as shown in the speech to his ram towards the end of the episode. But at the same time, he is a giant who is anthropomorphic, and then he eats people, which is basically cannibalism. He also breaks Xenia in numerous ways, and even though he has a god for his father, he also says that he cares not for the gods. One year, my students and I discussed how monstrous each character from the narrative was, and we plotted them on an axis of god to monster with regular mortals in the middle. And you see that Polyphemus doesn't come that far from regular mortals. He's only about halfway towards monster. There are certainly other creatures, whether or not they're vaguely mortal, that are worse coming up in the next chapters. Let's finish off by looking at the themes from this final episode. So, of course, we have Polyphemus. He gives bad Xenia, or breaks the rules of Xenia. He breaks Xenia, and he is punished. Odysseus acts as the god's messenger and blinds him. Odysseus knows that he's in the right because Polyphemus is very much in the wrong according to this unwritten rule. The crew, this time, they're actually more sensible than Odysseus. They try to stop him shouting out to Polyphemus, and technically they die, those that are eaten by Polyphemus, because of Odysseus's need for kudos. You can go back and track the reason why they go to the island at all to Odysseus's need for kudos. Then we come to Odysseus himself. Although in the previous 2 episodes he's tended to show good leadership in looking after his men and also having the right idea with the Kokonas, but here, although Odysseus does show good leadership, sharing out the goods after escaping from Polyphemus, coming up with a plan to save his men from Polyphemus's cave, he also puts his men in danger due to his need for kudos. And that's not really the greatest leadership. Also got the question of who shows less piety. Polyphemus says he cares nothing for the gods and gives bad Xenia, also showing he doesn't care about the gods, seeing as Zeus is the god of guests and thus Zeus is the god of Xenia. This is very impious. He is not treating the gods with the respect they deserve, even though Poseidon, our god, is his father. He gets punished for his impiety. His eye is forcibly removed, and he loses most of his sheep and rams to Odysseus. But Odysseus suggests Poseidon won't fix Polyphemus's eye, and then Poseidon listens to Polyphemus's prayer and curses Odysseus. Is this the gift of a father to a son? Does Poseidon have more vested interest in Polyphemus and his protection than Odysseus? In any case, we could argue that if Odysseus had not shouted out after Polyphemus on their escape and revealed his true identity, the curse would not have happened. Thus, everything that happens to Odysseus and his crew in the next few books could be said to be Odysseus's fault. Something he will no doubt be glossing over in the version of the story he tells to the Phaeacians. Finally, here's a fun rhyming way of remember Polyphemus's curse. And if you're reading the rest of the Odyssey, you'll be able to work out in which book each part of his curse comes true. Hopefully that about wraps it up for Book 9, because this has been a long set of videos. But hopefully this has been really useful to all of those of you who wanted to know more or who are doing an exam very, very soon. Good luck, my dears, and may Athene bless your endeavours.